Everybody, welcome to Bag It or Slab It. I'm Sean Hilton, owner of Comics Cube, founder of the Kokomo Con, and I do other stuff too. I'm joined by my good friend in the upper left-hand corner, Edward Gibson III, and over in the right-hand corner, being washed out and his pale self needs to get tan, is Nicholas the Undead Gray. Hey, I hope everybody's having a wonderful time.
Sean's in a good mood tonight.
Anything fun, exciting? I've had hell of a meal. I've been working in my garage. I've been playing with comic books. So, I got to price up stuff.
I saw some really great stuff. I mean,
Spider-Man books, man.
Spider-Man 2099. I saw it.
Lauren's like, "Oh, Nick's gonna want those." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure Nick already has them all."
I don't have them all.
What?
Yeah, I'm trying.
I was hoping for.
Yeah, I'm working on putting that together.
I think I can hook you up with a whole run of Spider-Man 29 with multiple number ones and whatever else you need. So, got to borrow number 2.
An X-Men 2099 run.
I haven't seen it yet, but it wouldn't shock me. So I just had to pull it out of the trash bags. So it was a strange collection.
Stored real well.
Yeah. There was books being sorted on my trash can out in the yard. As stuff, just like 10% of the collection just goes straight in the trash can. Won't even make it past the door.
We'll sell it by pound.
Yeah, some of it.
I remember when we used to do that. You one time actually did like comics by the pound.
Yeah,
buy comics by the pound.
If it's interesting or fun, I'll give it a shot. So, yeah, lots of good books though. Lots of bad books. Lots of great stuff. Reader filler. You know what? There's going to be some stuff I'm sure will be great for an art project. So,
there you go.
All right. Well, hey, we got a lot of books this week. Or at least Sean. I thought I was going to be like catch up with Sean this week with my reading. Nope. Sean doubled it.
I slowed down as of yesterday when I started buying collections because I had about 4 more books to read.
You couldn't have fit 4 more books on your list.
How small does the font go?
Yeah.
So what did you guys get into this week? What was good?
Yeah. Fox and Hare. I think that was first up. I'm assuming, Sean, you read it. I can go through your entire list. There was too many words on it. There was more words.
This is actually one of the very first books I read.
There were more words on your pull list than there were in some of the comics I read this week.
Gotcha. This is a new Vault book. Vault that's been doing some pretty cool stuff. And this is the kind of book that when I see the solicitation for it, I'm like, oh, well, that looks like trash. I don't want to read that. And then this week, I just had a giant stack. And I'm like, I'm going to read it, whether I want to read it, whether it's something I would think about reading. And maybe it was because I went into it with such a bad attitude. I really enjoyed it. I thought the art looked really good with the coloring. The story had enough depth to it. I was very pleasantly surprised with this first issue of this like cyber, I call it a clean Blade Runner. Blade Runner looks really dirty and grungy. This looks like that same kind of society, but like they had very strict rules about how you keep the world clean.
Well, Japan's much cleaner than the United States.
Well, there you go.
They pick up after things. It's definitely like a American manga style comic book. I thought it was okay. I'd be interested enough to see what happens in the second issue. I've read a couple of things that are similar to it recently, so the story wasn't completely fresh to me. Okay. But I did enjoy it. I agree. The art was tight. The art was good. The colors, from the only non-colorblind person here, the colors did pop. They looked good.
I agree. The art was definitely the highlight in this book, and clean art, clean coloring. It was compared to some of the others we've looked at. Like I know you both read Bloodstained Teeth, and we talked about the coloring and art in that one. But I will admit the plot kind of left me a little. At times, it felt like from one panel to the next, I jumped from issue 1 to issue 2. So I was a little thrown by some things. I might pick up issue 2 on this one, but it was definitely an interesting kind of take. They seem to be bounty hunters, I think, or at least
they're not bounty hunters, they're mercenaries.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for me, this is a definite bag it. I'm definitely going to check out the second issue, and if it continues on the pace, the art, and the story that I've already read in the first issue, I'm going to continue with this one for quite some time.
I'd pull list, the smallest list of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I went from having the
comics.
I went from having the biggest list last week to the little list this week. We just talked about Fox and Hare. We're going to talk about Naughty List and Collector. Rush finished up.
It's over.
Great artwork throughout. Some really creepy visuals. The plot had a big swing in issue 5, and they definitely wrapped it all up. It's one where I almost feel like maybe I should sit down and reread it now that it's over and catch the full like string of things through. But I think both of you would actually really enjoy the story. It's literally about this gold rush town that is kind of besieged by monsters and almost like this plague style sickness. I shouldn't say plague. I guess it impacts the people's minds and kind of makes them do some, deranged things, and they write it off as being just gold crazy. Adventure Man number 9. I've wanted to like this book for so long, and I love Terry Dodson's art and the pulp idea of this, but I'm finally I think this is a leave it on the shelf. I think it's time, Sean. I need to unsubscribe from Adventure Man. I feel like this isn't really doing anything anymore other than being a beautiful to look at book.
The book was gorgeous.
So yeah, Dodson's art is constantly gorgeous, but it's just story-wise, we're 9 issues in, and I don't know that anything has happened in 9 issues of any kind of real importance.
I have erased you from that list. It is
there. We go. Thank you.
That easy, man. You're erased.
I enjoy the book, but I also can't disagree with Ed. If it wasn't for the fact that Terry Dodson's art's so beautiful, the very first run where they finished it up with a trade paperback it wasn't even like
it wasn't the conclusion.
Closure, no ending. And now I don't know what's going on. I think there's a love interest.
Well, yeah. And this is now technically the end of volume 2.
And
they're right in the middle of a story.
I don't know what happened through volume 2.
I don't either. And that's where I'm just like, they've introduced more characters, but they haven't even touched back on like the characters from the first volume. I want that group of adventurers that are maybe real, maybe fake.
The Golden Age Doc Savage team is what I want to see. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was signing up for. And then it's not been that. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Somehow we're going to work this in. And like, I keep waiting. I'll probably, I don't know.
At one point, it seemed like they'd been forgotten and like relegated to fictional stories. And then something happened in like, I think 5 or 6 that made it seem like their tower was real. They were real. And I thought, here we go. They're going to bring all these characters to the forefront. And then they've just disappeared. Yeah. And maybe they've got a plan, but other than being visually beautiful, I'll be honest, I've got other books that Terry Dodson's drawn that if I really want to go look at his art, I'll go look at his art. I mean, at this point in time, I figured it was time to move on from that title.
And it's sad. I haven't read. Number 9 is actually one of the books not on my thing this week because we initially sold out, but a copy or 2 have now made it back to the shelf, which means subscribers are doing exactly what you just did. They're bowing out. And so
this is a pass.
Sold out to now we've got some copies. I will read it because I own a comic store and I get to read it for free. I will probably continue to read it, but I've got to tell you, it started off as the top of my book list, like at the top of the heap. Now it's at the bottom. And like this week, again, I read, a ton of books. it didn't even make the cut. Like I didn't even bother to go find it. I'm like, I'll eventually get it.
I read that book today before I texted you messaged my list. Like that it just made the cut of above the 3 other books that I read after it.
It should have been the last one.
Yeah, it would have been just fine being the last one. It was like, it's beautiful. I want it to do something. I want it to go somewhere. I just don't think I'm going to be able to will it to do that.
And you're telling me that this is like the end of this arc, you're saying?
From everything I read in the, like, I skimmed the back material because they constantly let Matt Fraction write like a 5-page novel in the back about his process. And I think they said like volume 2 hardcover due out November 2022.
Because if that's the case, then that also means that this is now a hiatus for it.
Yeah. So it's going to go.
And if this book goes on hiatus again, like that.
Well, the very last thing he wrote was "See you soon, adventure fans." Matt, 3/31/2022. So this book was done in March. So has he been on hiatus from it?
Well, I think that
I just gotta say, this story doesn't have a closure that you normally have at the end of a.
Well, neither did volume 1, and they're doing another oversized hardcover for this book, which I don't understand why they're doing it, but hey, maybe it'll sell.
Maybe.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 was better than the first one. I'm still not a fan of Romita Jr.'s art. He's still mopey Spider-Man, so we'll see. My only complaint, and maybe Sean, did you read Amazing number 2?
I did. I actually liked it.
So was every other page of yours look like the art had been like almost like sun-drenched or whitewashed or something? Like my art looked like one page looked like faded, and then the other page looked like it was colored correctly. It was almost every other page.
I would say bring that back. I think you got a.
I say you have a collector's item.
That's what I thought. I was like, am I the only one whose book is like this? Is this at first I thought it was a choice, but I'm like, when he's fighting White Rabbit in that like warehouse, one page looks like it's just sun bleached color, and then the other looks perfectly normal.
You got some weird printer defect because mine didn't have any of that.
Fantastic! I'll sell that one for hundreds of dollars.
I enjoyed it. I mean, yes, it is mopey Peter. It's actually mopey, aggressive, kind of almost mean Peter. Whatever happened in those 6 months or whatever we're saying it was, it's definitely left an effect on him. Like he's going looking for a fight. But then again, so are his enemies. So I didn't read the last run. So it almost makes me wonder if maybe it wasn't a little more fun, slapstick or something.
But he wasn't even Spider-Man until the last 2 issues at that end. It was Ben Reilly up until the end. That opening 6-month gap in that first issue, that came out of nowhere. We don't know anything about it. So I mean, we're all kind of in the dark. But
interesting.
Yeah, he's definitely mopey Peter Parker. And I agree with you. He wants to punch something. He very much is like, I'm going to put the webs on and go beat somebody.
Yeah, he needs to get some therapy. And he's going to do it in the mean streets of New York. Like, I mean, even the bad guys, though, like Tombstone is ripping dental work out, like with a pair of pliers. So it definitely feels like, they're trying to up the ante on this a little bit. So... but I liked it. I actually did. I thought I liked it a little more than I liked the first one, just because now we're selling into something. The first
one, so I didn't get the second one.
I dug it.
Avengers wasn't bad.
I don't read that. What's going on there?
I don't know. Jason Aaron doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He basically starts a plot line and then about 3 issues in introduces a brand new plot line before wrapping up the other one. It's kind of like Adventure Man.
I was going to say, it sounds like Adventure Man.
So I would be passing on this and waiting. I'm tempted to just drop it and wait for a new writer to take over.
Really?
Yeah, it's.
Ooh,
but Namor's finally on the team, so I'm kind of like, okay, give me something good.
Well, it's number 56, so you got to figure they're going to relaunch it any day now. I mean, they can't possibly let this get to 75. So
I
they're
think
going to
they're
have to
coming up
relaunch
on
it.
like the 750th or no, they just did the 750th. So they're another 50 issues away from a relaunch, probably.
Yeah, it's relaunch time. 56
Legion
is
of
too high.
X. I know you loved Legion of X, and we'll have to move on here because I know we've got plenty of other books to look at. But
Oh no, we can take time. We can take a time to talk about an X book, especially yet
it was weak.
another craptacular X book.
It was weak. This is we are the police of Krakoa, but we do everything in Legion's head. Right now, its saving grace is that it has Nightcrawler. I'm like literally reading this because this is where I'm going to get most of my Nightcrawler fix.
And even he's a bit odd.
Yeah. When he was like talking to Storm, my first thought was, this is not Nightcrawler. Like, that's not Kurt.
Yeah.
This is probably going to go 5 or 6 issues, and then I see them canceling this one. I really do.
I mean, I know
I wouldn't.
We
if
keep
you're not
joking.
Like a big X fan, I wouldn't pick this up. Like, if you're not wanting to read all the Krakoa stuff, and right now I am because of how connected it's been, I would pass on this book big time. Nightcrawler is your biggest character in this book. That's it.
I mean, I keep joking with you about the X universe, but it's no longer a joke. There's not a single thing they're putting out, including Marauders, for the X line. They could wipe out everything and restart continuity as far as I'm concerned. It's that bad. This Legion of X was horrible. Knights of X number 2 is coming out. That's on my dinner table. I'm not looking forward to it.
That one I liked more. I had more expectations for Legion of X, but I liked Knights of X a little more. But it's gonna keep being an Otherworld, and I'm just not a fan of like the magical X-Men thing. I didn't care for it in Excalibur. I'm not caring for it here, but the story was better because I think it had something to pick up with.
Okay.
Godzilla versus Power Rangers. Again, it's giant robots fighting kaiju. I'm getting everything I want right there. And we're going to talk about DC Vampires, I think, next.
You're right. It is next.
Hey.
Yeah. So this is kind of like DC's one of their what if Elseworlds that they did. I think they did an actual versus vampires miniseries not too long ago. And so this was a one shot where basically Damien is a vampire.
He is.
But you find out he's working with like the Resistance.
He's Blade.
Yes. He is Blade, and he's going after the King. And I did not read the miniseries that led into any of this. I read this completely blind going into it.
I read it blind.
I read the first issue of the vampire book, and it's pretty good.
Really?
For being a what if Elseworlds kind of a thing.
I thought this was Like, after reading that the Taking the Chance on the DC book last week, and like kind of the mini short stories and that, the art and everything, I was super blown away with this. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a chance. I'm gonna read it, and I read it, and I was just like, I
dug this one.
I didn't care.
I thought it was fun. I thought the art was pretty solid throughout.
I probably would have liked it better if it would have been a Black Label, because they could have pushed it a little bit more, and it would have been a little more gritty. I don't know.
I liked the surprise of who the King was, but I was like, I should have figured it out, but I wondered if maybe that was something from the miniseries or whatever.
It's who I figured it was. So
as it went, I started to think, well, clearly because Alfred plays a role, I was like, it's got to be someone in the Bat family if Damien's doing this and Alfred plays a role. But I thought it was a neat little one-off. So
I enjoyed it. If you like the Robin ongoing over in the normal universe, I don't know why you're not going to like this. This is giving you more Damien in a different version, but it was really good. You get the Alfred over there is still alive, so he's doing better than the Alfred in the real universe or in the real DC universe. So, yeah, I dug it. I dug the whole thing, and it's a one-shot. You don't have to have read the other series. In fact, I don't recommend it really, because I don't know that it's going to give you any pertinent information that's not going to be ruined. So I would say just get this book and don't worry about the other series unless you really like this book. Then in which case, then I'd be like, all right, now go back and check out how this whole DC Vampires thing got started. Plus, you
Yeah.
also, if you're a
And-
Martian Manhunter fan, you don't
yeah.
get a lot of Martian Manhunter. This gives you a really cool Elseworlds vibe on that character.
It was fun to see him again because I haven't read him in a book in years at this point, I think. But yeah, he was a nice kind of, I won't say sidekick, but kind of partner with Damien
cool.
there. And this was definitely the better cover of the two that I saw.
Oh
I
yeah,
know the other one was the homage cover, but this looked awesome.
a lot of red.
Vampire Gorilla Grog. That was the only thing
Yes.
Because vampirism can transfer to gorillas apparently, but
Well, and I wondered how
not the Martians.
Fire was a vampire, yet when she lights herself on fire, she doesn't combust. So I was like, all right, we'll bend the rules.
I questioned how vampires really got to a lot of them, but Sean's pull list. I mean, you're gonna have to type this out in the comments so anybody could read it.
I sat down and read a few things. So I'm still continuing on with Star Slayer from 1983. I think I'm into 1984 now, actually. So time to update that. But I'm still reading one issue every morning, cover to cover, letters, pages, what little ads they have. This actually very rarely has ads. What it has is a letters page. It's got a editorial, and then it's got a comic history page. That's been really enlightening and entertaining. So I've really enjoyed it. This is, again, the issues 2 and 3 introduces you to the Rocketeer. A couple of issues later, we get introduced to Grimjack. Grimjack is now out of the book at this point in the history. He's got his own book, and we get something new, Blue, the Black Flame. It sucks. It is, compared to the Rocketeer and Grimjack, this Black Flame, I'm on issue 21. I got to get to issue 34, and every single one now it doesn't change. It's him, and it's like this metaphysical dream nightmare warrior dude. And I'm just like 2 issues in, and I'm like, this just sucks. The Star Slayer stuff's really pretty sharp, but that black, I'm looking over because I can see the book. That Black Flame stuff, that's just shit. It's just bad. And I have to read it. That's part of the gig.
Sure.
I'm not going to lie. Now I'm like getting to that last thing. And I'm like, yep, I have to read it. I have to pay attention. I'm just like, just get through this because I'll read it enough to see if it gets better. But so far, Task Force Z, I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that more than Suicide Squad. It's getting you the Red Hood. This is the new Red Hood book. Him with a team of Suicide Squad-like members, but they're all dead. And so they're getting a Lazarus Pit injection to keep them just enough alive to keep them getting through a mission. So Bane's on the team, Man-Bat's on the team, bunch of dead characters. They shoot them up, and then if they go off thing, they just don't give them any more juice. So that's been interesting. British Paranormal Society, only if you're into like a historical Hellboy thing without Hellboy. It's a complete mystery drama with no real action. Robin, I love Robin. Robin's been so good. Part of the Deathstroke, Batman, Shadow War thing going on. This continues it. Still good. Stillwater, still enjoying Stillwater. It's now in this issue, they finally said they're going to clear it up. So let's see what else we got here. Captain Carter, Naughty List, King Conan. Loving King Conan. Rogue Sun, really digging that. Preacher's Trail was a oversized book from Europe, Sweden, something like that, about a American, the Missouri-Kansas Wars kind of a thing. Punisher's good. There's a lot of stuff on that list. King Conan 5, top notch. Artist Elite presents Primer Red. That's supposed to be number 1. It says number 2. That's a brand new thing coming out with a bunch of different artists. This Artist Elite Presents is really more of a starter, get to know you kind of a thing.
I think, Nick, that's what you were talking about right before we started, right? The Artist Elite Primer Red.
Yep, that primer.
It's like an ash can with 2 or 3 pages. Some of them don't even have a story. Some of them are just a couple of pinups.
Like a cover, essentially, cover art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there you get to the what was it? There was one story where it's a 3-page just block text.
And I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things I did enjoy, but that part wasn't one of it.
The
And it was
art,
all about, it was like supposed to be like the sex one too. It was all about sex, dominating,
Except
and
it wasn't,
which
it
were
wasn't
like
very sexy.
this wasn't. Yeah, it was stupid.
It was like
The names were kind of dumb. I think her name was like Carnal something.
yeah.
Of course it is.
It was just. It was.
Hey, I found it.
As I said, unlike
I have to
Hit
know what her
Me,
name is now.
where they're doing cool stuff with this kind of dynamic, that one was just poor. But there's like
Carnal
4 stories in it. What is it?
Carnal
Confessions.
Confessions.
Carnal Confessions.
Wow.
But yeah, out of this list, King Conan is a big keeper.
I would say we get number 5 this week, don't we?
Yep, I brought that home and made sure I read that. Rogue Sun's the sleeper. That's one people are missing out on. So lots of cool stuff. Hellboy, definitely you should be reading. That was a Hellboy one shot. So,
all right. Collector Unit 731, issue 2. I mean, I think it was on Sean's list. I don't know if anything wasn't on Sean's list.
Yeah.
This was on my list.
Yeah, I think everybody read this. That's the I think what they call the Virgin cover. Doesn't have any of the dress on it, but so continue the story. Me and Ed debated a little bit before this, talking about it, whether or not that there's something supernatural going on. Still don't know about that. Continues the story. The next issue, you're going to have some interplay between the German soldiers and the Japanese soldiers, and then the Americans and this internment camp or this experimental camp. So I still think it's interesting. It's again something that's really up my alley of stuff that I find interesting and read. I could see very easily that a lot of people might find it dry and not enjoy it as much. But for me, there's enough kind of mystery of what's going on and the history point of like the test and why the Germans are interested in this main character. What were your thoughts, Sean? You weren't blown away by the first issue.
Ed, please take this off my pull list. I found it dry and uninteresting. It's just not good. I want to like it, but the truth is there's not enough mystery there. There's, I think there's some. If it's not supernatural, the guy has already been experimented on. I mean, it's pretty obvious there's something up with the guy, whether he's immortal, a religious figure, he's supernatural, he's Jesus. I don't know.
I think he's just immortal. That's what I was saying before.
Okay.
I get the impression he is the one in the like frame material we get at the very beginning of each issue so far going.
Yeah, I think
I'm looking back on my life and I've not aged a day since like 1941, or 44, where are we at, but it's, and he's clearly got some connections to both the Americans and the Germans. And he plays a role in something here, but I thought maybe we'd find out a bit more on what they were injected with in that first issue, but it seems like whatever it was, his body seemed to have purged it.
Yeah.
Like
His did.
Completely. His body completely purged it.
Yeah.
And there's like the big to do about that cannot be his blood culture.
Yeah.
So, but he was also intent to hide, like he puked and he was like,
Yes.
I have to hide all this. I have to hide my vomit, like whatever it was. So that seemed a little odd. Is it similar to Out that just came out from AWA? It is the exact same artist. And so Will Conrad is doing he's the artist that was on that one, and he may have been a co-plotter on the other one. It's got a similar vibe. It's a World War II POW camp, only this time it's Americans in a Japanese prisoner of war camp. So he's kind of just shifted to the other avenue of the war there. But I do love his art. I think he does a very realistic take on stuff, and it looks very, very good. He does a pretty good job usually of making the characters distinguishable one from the other. I don't look at them and go, okay, these are all a bunch of guys. I don't know. They're all Americans. I don't know which is which, but
I've not read Out yet, but it is the next trade for me to read, and I am much more interested in reading this than I am to continue reading the collector book.
Out had a definite supernatural take, and this one was still not sure.
I wonder if this isn't if Out isn't based on that I just read it. I just read the novel. I can't remember the name of it, but The Keep. I wonder if it's not kind of based on The Keep. So,
well, I read some books this week.
That's a respectable list.
Yeah, like I said, I'd even left off 3 of the books, and then there was like 5 more books that I didn't even send them because I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to read. Adventureman 9 we talked about. I'll probably get the next issue. Holding out hope upon hopes that it gets there, but it's really like it's gorgeous, but it just doesn't anything. Talked about Fox and the Hare. I'm interested in 2. I didn't like it as much as Sean, but I liked it more than Ned. It was pretty. I thought it was a pretty solid book. It just needed something more for me to really over the top love it. Department of Truth 18. I still like that book a lot. It's conspiracy theory, American Gods meets X-Files. So I find it interesting. The art definitely would not be for everybody. It's scratchy and more. It's kind of more like Sandman-esque a little bit, but I still find that book very, very interesting. It's kicking off kind of the new arc with this book. Lost my place. The Rocky Horror Picture Show compilation book. If you like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, that's what this is. It is the whole Rocky Horror Picture Show in comic format. The art is very stylized to look like art from like the 70s, 80s. The panels all look like that. It's the whole show, musical numbers and all. Entertaining. I dug it. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Used to go see it all the time, so I dug that book.
So they originally put that out as like 2 issues. So this was like a soft bound version of a trade paperback for that one.
Yeah, it's a thick book.
I couldn't find it anywhere. I went to look it up because I was going to price it and put it on the back wall, and I'm like, I got sick of looking it up, so I'm like, just sell it to Lauren. I figured Lauren or Nick will want it for cover price.
Yeah, I dug it. DC Vampire Hunters we talked about. I don't know how to say the name of the next book. In fact, it is I thought it was a one shot. And apparently it's based on a game. The art was pretty decent throughout. The back.
Are you holding it?
Yeah.
Then hold it up.
There you go.
Oh, I got that from Studio 2. It's based on.
It's based on that game?
That we've looked at. I don't know, not Fate Forge. The Historic Order kind of stuff. Remember those guys at Origins?
It says it's Fate Forge.
Okay, then it's Fate Forge. I thought it was part of the. That one East European one that always has the artist doing sketches and stuff.
Shadows East apparently it's not a one shot. Like it says a short story, but looking at you get all the way to the back, it says it's going to have an issue 2. It's kind of like she's the postman. She's delivering messages. The art is very gorgeous. And it is. I don't know. There's not enough there, I think, to really. Did you not read that, Sean?
It's been in my stack for a while, but honestly, it just keeps getting pushed.
Yeah, I read. There's just not enough there for me. It ends at a point and makes issue 2 like it'll be really interesting. So if you're ordering it, Sean, I'd probably get issue 2.
I mean,
that's going to be the make or break for me on that.
Hopefully, it's at Origins and we just get it directly from Jim. That's where I ordered it from.
The next book, again, I don't know how to say it. But there's a lot of it's a Scout comic book. I actually like this a lot. It's King Arthur. King Arthur, Isle of Avalon.
Does Red Sonja have a chainmail breastplate thing that she can't get rid of or something?
No. Well, it alludes to it, King Arthur. Like one of the kids in that focuses on in this book is possibly going to be the new king, I think, is what it's alluding to. He's being watched by some other, like a Merlin-esque figure, but it's not obviously not Merlin. There is a lot of Welsh words in the book where it has at the bottom like what that means or what that is. Yeah, so the art was good. I'm interested in the issue 2 of that. This Scout does books I love, and then books I'm like, eh. This one I think is something I'm gonna get into. I enjoyed that. Collector we talked about, Stillwater, great book, great series. If you're not reading it, doing yourself a disservice by not reading that book. The trade has everything, and then that kicks off the new issue. Bloodstained Teeth 2. I didn't think I was gonna get that book, and I did. It's not good.
I was gonna say you and Sean both got that, and I passed because I was like, no, I will let you two talk about it.
I thought it was better than the first issue.
It's like 3 pages of or 4 pages of a kickboxing guy just punching a vampire. And his plan to kill this guy.
He's a kickboxer and he spent his time punching him?
Yeah, he throws a kick like
it's an MMA guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like the vampire, the guy from the first issue, his plan to kill the first I forget what they call him. Sip. The first sip that he's going after to kill is this now vampire or half vampire, however they look at it, immortal MMA fighter. And his plan is, I'm going to let him beat me up until he's tired.
Oh,
and it's like 4 or 5 pages, I think, of just frame after frame of that.
It worked for Muhammad Ali.
I guess it did. And then he kills him with like a vacuum cleaner. I didn't understand what that was.
For me, the weird part about this is the coloring. The coloring is just all over the place.
Yeah.
Is it still like streaks of blue and yellow and red just thrown all over the panels?
It's streaky and it's not good. I mean, Sean's probably gonna stick 3 in the 3 in my folder, and I'm gonna have to. You can
tell me to pull it off your list. It turns out I do that.
I mean, if I'm gonna end up getting, if they actually are re-releasing those boys hardbounds, what it looks like, then I might have to cut back a book to afford to getting all those.
You'll take that cut on Bloodstained Teeth.
Yeah, I'll 100% I'll trade off on that. Naughty List 2. Is there a slide for Naughty List 2? I don't remember.
There is. That's our last thing.
Okay, British Paranormal Society, dry. If you find it interesting, it's okay. It hasn't blown me away. Spider-Man 2099 Exodus. I love Spider-Man 29. Not loving this book so far. The first one was great. This one, you get it. This one pretty much is. You have Spider-Man and Ghost Rider in the first 2 pages. Then it's all about the Winter Soldiers. And then you get Spider-Man on like the last page.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with Spider-Man 2099.
It has Winter Soldier 2099, which I don't remember before this there being a Winter Soldier 2099.
I think that's how they're introducing him to the 2099 universe.
I was going to say, he didn't exist when they did the 2099 thing.
Yeah,
so
apparently the Winter Soldier program, there was like a whole bunch of them, and they're like cyborg or something, and they don't have all of their memories, I guess. So that plays into like the Winter Soldier, and then she ends up fighting Crossbones 2099, and Crossbones has the original Winter Soldier's arm. And she ripped it off of him and takes it for herself.
So do we know yet who the Winter Soldier 2099 is? Like, is it supposed to be someone from the now?
It's not as mystery as like the other one. Like she thinks of herself. She's not controlled by anything. She has a thing called the Winter Song, which fry like an EMP, and they fry electronics. So
they just haven't done like and we find out it's the so and so from.
No,
I guess
she's
trying to get her memories back. She's trying to get her memories
like the Black Widow program, except Winter Soldier program.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I don't know. It's only like 4 issues. I'll probably continue to get it just because I'm collect 2 to 2099, good or bad. And then Spectro was like a sci-fi oversized, like magazine-sized book. There you go. That's Spectro. It is a 4 short stories, like sci-fi little short story readers. I can't remember if this was on your list or not either, Sean, but
no, I did. That one did not make the list.
So if you like sci-fi and you like kind of like little short stories, kind of outer limits sci-fi or outer limits sci-fi is probably about the closest I'd go to it. It was interesting. I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing thing that they're going to do. It's Aftershock. They do several other oversized kind of horror books. That's kind of what this is. First short story is about a guy that had everything going for him. Athlete, gonna option to be NASA, go up on like a certain space mission, And then to celebrate, when he was nominated to be one of the finalists for it, got drunk, did some stuff on social media, and lost his chance to do it. So decides he's going to get back in shape. And then, the horror element of the scale, like it's the future. So technology controls a lot, and the scale just like makes him lose weight. It does.
Okay.
But it has a horror aspect of the whole thing. But several different horror stories. One of them is about Pluto not being a planet. So they turned that into a horror story. Sci-fi horror story. I also read Elvira this week.
Here she's the mistress of the dark.
She is. Elvira is stuck in pocket dimensions. If you've not been following along with the Elvira book, and she has a remote, and she's trying to get back to be with her dude, and she's clicking through the remote, and she winds up in Psycho. And the whole book's in black and white. The art's actually is really pretty good. And she's just trying to go. She knows how it is. She's freaking out Norman Bates because she knows what's going to happen, and she keeps saying his lines. But he doesn't realize he's in a movie. He thinks he's Norman Bates, and everybody thinks they're the character.
Gotcha.
But she decides when she's going to break into the house to try to get the remote to get out, that she's going to go save the girl. So they go back, and it throws the whole thing off, and then eventually ends with Alfred Hitchcock walking in, and I don't know. It was a fun little campy read. The next issue looks like they're going to be going to Kubrick.
Shining.
Thank you.
I've been recently listening to a podcast where the author talked about that, where she's like hopping from horror movie to horror movie.
Horror movie, yeah.
So
I don't know. It's a fun little interesting read. It's Elvira visiting horror movies and interacting with what's going on. So
I like that idea.
Yeah. We've last up Naughty List.
So this was the book that I put on here because Sean with issue 1 was like, I didn't like anything until the cliffhanger ending, and now I wanted to know with issue 2. And when I went to pick up my books, you said same damn thing. You were like, this book is no good. It ends, and you're like, well, what the hell? I gotta know. And so I was like, we have to talk about the Naughty List.
Man.
He literally goes on the hunt for the list, and he figures out who took it, but not who it was sold to.
Yeah.
And it's one
candy
of those
canes, man.
where
Candy canes.
Yeah, because like some of the stuff his special powers with liquid, I was like, that is kind of the dumbest thing in the world. Like, I can get people to do whatever I want if you move liquid.
If he can get you to look into like water or a reflective surface for too long, you'll see your best or your Christmas
memory.
Your best Christmas memory.
And then you just want to do good holiday mood, and you'll do what he wants.
So I just thought, like,
I like how he discovered he had that ability.
Yeah.
He got drunk into a fountain next to a guy, and
but like he just goes on, like, and you see the way he's used this over the years. But like, I could not believe it worked with what he needed to get. Where this is like, we'll just happily hand this citizen, all this information here. And you see him, like, also he steals one of his old reindeer back from this racetrack where she's being like shocked to see how fast or how long she can run.
Yeah, one of the they mentioned that in the first one, like the reindeer don't last forever.
Yeah,
so they age out. And now we see what happened to one of the aged out reindeer, and is basically being abused at like a really crappy rundown gambling park where they have that. So Easter Bunny.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. What is it if the Easter Bunny drives a lime green?
Nope. That would make sense.
I mean, what? It was like some sports car. I can't remember, but
I don't know.
Makes sense to me.
It's a fun, silly book.
It's when they come back and he's like, "Get your team under control," and it's like, listen. Like, we tried them on heroin for a while.
In the 90s, they didn't get work. They didn't get the work done. So now they're on meth. They're the meth elves.
And then they
It's
just
like, well,
they go until they just drop.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, can you put them in the recovery unit? It's literally full. There is nowhere else to put them.
I don't know. The dynamic of it, it's a ridiculous premise for a book. It's a ridiculous book, but I don't know. It's got little moments to it. Hey, we're talking more fondly about this than several other books.
Legion of X #1.
Right.
Yeah.
This is one of those that I think if we weren't doing this, I don't know that I'd pick it up, but it is kind of one of those the fun to read together. Just go like, what the hell is happening in this book? Like, and again, why is this coming out in May?
Like, again, I don't know why we didn't release this in November, where it would like led into Christmas or December and stuff.
It's like a giant trash fire, and you're rolling by, and you're like rubbernecking the entire way. Like, I don't want to see it, but I want to see it.
This is one of those like Netflix, sci-fi, espionage movies that they're dropping, and you're just like, there is no way that this can be good, but I'm gonna watch it until I think I can't. Just exactly what you said. If it's bad, I'll turn it off. And you're an hour in, you're like, there can't be that much more left.
There's only like 15 minutes left. I'm just finishing. Yeah, like I could see this getting made into a movie. Did you not see the announcement last week? What horror movie's getting made?
No.
Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, so that's real.
Winnie the Pooh finally made it apparently public domain, and they're making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Oh my goodness!
It's Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. And I think the 8 Eeyore, and now they're on like Bloodlust. I don't know.
I thought that was a fake thing.
I thought it was a joke.
Is it not a joke?
I hope it's a joke.
I have to look into that because maybe that is a joke.
You know what? I'm going to go it's a joke because Disney, I think, owns that shit. So
they own their version, but I wonder if it's also like, Cinderella, where we own our version. Cinderella, the story is public domain. Black Label, Tim Allen, Santa Claus. That is almost exactly what this is. Like, I could see, John Hamm needs a paycheck and Netflix hires him to be this terrible Santa Claus. It gives me vibes of Bad Santa that Billy Bob Thornton did almost 10 years ago or whatever it was. So,
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey does appear to be real. Like it's
Blood and Honey.
I don't know. IMDb that bad boy. I need for Netflix to take this naughty list idea and trim it up like one of their romantic holiday comedies.
Oh,
not do that. Like just like trick everyone and then present this. That'll make me quite happy. Because I watch all that crap. Like me and my wife will watch 6 or 7 of those every year.
What's the Kurt Russell one that they
I'd add it
did?
to my Christmas repertoire with Bad Santa and
and you know what? I could absolutely see this coming out that way. Like Hulu or Netflix is gonna nab this and go like, let's make a crappy like bad guy heist Christmas with all the elves tweaking left and right.
Yeah.
So
we need a bunch of strung out little people. Can we get someone to do that for us?
Oh.
All right.
So there we have it.
Our list for the week. So, Ed, if you've got to pick just one single book, what's it going to be?
The best thing I think from that entire list, I'll admit, I probably had more fun for me that Godzilla versus Power Rangers. I was a Power Rangers kid growing up, and I love Godzilla. So watching the two team up to fight other monsters, they took down Gigan. What else could I want? And King Ghidorah is on his way.
Oh man,
my pick is Stillwater. Stillwater is probably my top book. Probably second by Department of Truth.
What about you, Sean?
I'm looking over my list. I was cheating. The ongoing Star Slayer is actually still probably my favorite, but I'm reading one of those a day. The King Conan. I was able to read 2 back to back because I fell behind. And that is a beautiful book. It looks great. The story is wonderful. And I'm under the impression after reading this, the next issue is the last issue.
Yeah, so it's only a 6-issue miniseries.
It's wrapping it up. And so
And that's it from Marvel. So
I'm really
It'll
happy
be
with
done.
that. So for me, probably Conan. Next week, tomorrow, I believe we get Little Monsters 4.
Ooh.
I'm really looking forward to that. So I've been enjoying the hell out of Little Monsters. I think everybody should check it out. Richard Candelaria has won a 1 in 25 variant of the Sandman universe by taking part and leaving some comments. In fact, other than Chavot, who basically showed up before we got started, he's the only person that left a comment. So that doesn't make you any less of a winner.
No, he always interacts with us every week. So, and I know
we
we
just
all
need to give him a
appreciate it, too.
code. He can come on and
Yeah.
tell us about he can tell us about the Superman books that none of us read. So
there you go.
oh boy, I really hope Richard's got some dollar bills. Like he needs to get ready to go to the Superman strip club because
I was gonna say I saw a lot of Superman in what you were pulling out there.
A lot of Superman. So it's gonna have to just like dollar bill show. So some good stuff. So yeah, we'll be checking that out here soon. So congratulations to Mr. Richard Candelaria for winning the 1 in 25 Sandman book. For once, I didn't forget to give something away. So that worked out really, really well. And we've got some live shows coming up. We've got the Kokomo Con coming up Saturday, June 11th. Comics Cubed itself will be open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday from noon to 5. We have a live show on Saturday. I think we have a live show on Wednesday. I've figured out. I think we've got enough people coming in. Hopefully, I've lost an employee, but I'm working out some stuff. So,
I got a question. Now that you have some more comics, is there now going to be the shop show, the basement show, and the garage show?
Porch. Oh, the garage show.
I mean, the sad element is that now we've got enough books that we could literally do a show every single night. However, I have seen stores do that, and it's something that I'm pretty firmly against. I'm really not happy about the number of shows that we're doing currently, only because I believe it stretches the consumer who comes in, watches our program stuff and watches our shows to the point where it breaks their bank. So I want to provide great books at a great price and an entertaining evening of us saying stupid things that hopefully gets a laugh or two, and they enjoy the company of, letting us be on their computers with them. So I don't want to overdo it. But yeah, at one time, there was at least one comic store I know of that was doing 8 or 9 live shows every single week.
It's a lot.
And twice on Sunday. And I'm just like, that seems to me like you're almost abusing the customer base. So we're gonna, it's a fine line. You gotta be careful. I want to give the people what they want. So one of the things we'll be doing more and more is, as we're going through this collection, just having somebody videotape me like sorting out a bag of trash, because some of these comics are in trash bags.
I saw that. I couldn't believe it.
That wasn't a joke. That wasn't set up. Like,
we were literally pulling
trash bags off the floor that we didn't even look through. I'm like, well, they're in trash bags. We're not looking at that. And all the boxes that we were looking at were very strange. Like, they weren't comic boxes. The collection I just bought today was at least in comic boxes. So I can't say a lot of Green Hornet and a lot of Shadow. If there is a Green Hornet or a Shadow fan out there, you need to let me know, because holy cow, I've got a long box for you. So
I told him when I saw the first video of just like the boxes in the cars and the trash bags and all that, I'm not gonna lie, my back immediately started going, you're gonna hurt. This summer, you are going to hurt, because I know what I'm going to be doing over at least like twice a week, probably over the next few weeks. And I was just my collection got bumped. Yeah, yours got bumped. Mondays, I think, is getting bumped. I'm going to be in there sorting at the store probably for a while.
The crazy part was, as I think you guys know, I invited some friends over for breakfast yesterday.
Yeah,
it was legit. I was just making a big old breakfast.
Bait and switch. You got them.
I always make more food than me and Chris are ever going to eat. So I'm like, I'll just open it up tonight, or this morning, not a big deal. And Derek came over and got free breakfast, and he stayed long enough. I'm like, hey man, I need to go look at a collection at 1. Now they'd shown me pictures, and in the pictures was like 4 boxes. So, and they were weird sized boxes, but it was 4 boxes of comics. So I'm like, we're in, we're out. I'm thinking 30 minutes max. And, this could be a take it or leave it. Turns into, I finally look up and go, hey, what time is it? As he's helping. it's like 3:45 and we're not done. We haven't actually finished the deal. So we're still going through the comics at 3:45. So I don't think it was till 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock that I had all the books actually, and a whole load sat in the car overnight. I just put it in the truck and locked the truck. I was like, I don't have the energy to deal with this right now. So,
and then you bought another one today.
Yeah, went and bought another one today. So,
Man, you're gonna have to open up a second shop.
I was gonna say
I need to make some money because I can tell you, man, the checks
stuff
cash
I
are
wanted.
getting a little thin.
Well, I'm ready to come through and start sorting and also buying, because between you showing stuff off in videos and then Derek sending me pictures like, is this anything? Is this thing? What do you know about this character? And I'm going, well, I know that I want that book, so be careful with it because I need to know if the rest of it's there.
They're flopping it around.
Yeah. Is he good?
He was hot. He was fanning himself, man.
Yeah, it was hot. Both.
No, I bet.
The one I was
yourself with comics.
Really hot. The guy finally shows up because I'm dealing with a relative, which is weird. He goes, so he comes in. I'm like, hey man, I hate to ask, but you got a couple of paper towels? Because I'm just like, and it's funny. He came in just as I put down the last box I'd gone through. I had just finished going through the whole collection when he showed up, and I'm like, well, perfect timing. So I need some paper towels, Gatorade, chair, an IV drip, and this is a check.
Well, that's like. I was gonna say that's like what you and I did last summer, where we were confined to a room where we could not open a window and no fan, and we were just like, well, there's 800 boxes that we need to sort and find anything. Let's not breathe too much.
The lame part is that I've been cleaning out my garage, but if you know how you clean out something that's a wreck, you have to basically just move stuff around and start. It's almost like, gold mining where I'm just sifting through crap. And so it's horrible. And I'm like, well, now I got to get all of this in there. So, yeah. And then set the traps and the broken glass and the piranhas with the lasers. It's a pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie.
We'll do some sorting, and sounds like we've got some books to move.
A lot of books. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Again, check us out at Comics Cubed Wednesday through Saturday from noon to 5. Become a subscriber, get a 10% discount on, well, damn near everything, including back issues. So it's well worth it. Shop at Comics Cubed in the beautiful heart of downtown Kokomo. Come on in and check us out. Until next time, be groovy.